that as of right now, the governing board could change this later. I don't control that. But as of now, we aren't doing any grading. I'm here to provide feedback to you, okay? So I'm going to give you assignments to work on, and I'm basically putting you on your honor, right? Because we did this before earlier in the year, where the idea is that you're going to take a look at this work. I'm switching to my document camera. So you're going to take a look at this work, and you're going to say, oh, blimey, I could do that really easy, or, you know, I really do need to spend some time in it. And I'm going to expect you to be responsible. You're my honors kids. I expect you to be intelligent about how you approach this stuff. But basically for all my students, it's about, do you need to work on this? Is there stuff about this that's complicated? I would definitely do some of these ones on this page where it's got like a mixture of stuff, like, you know, 4 miles, 160 yards, that kind of thing, where how many yards is that? So you can do some work that way just to see how some of those are different. I'd probably suggest for the honors class, you might just want to do just this one, just because it's more complicated, and, you know, that's okay, because you could probably benefit from something that's a little more challenging than something you're going to fall asleep doing, right? But I leave it to your discretion. I would at least do one of the time sheets just so that you're working with time as well. Were there any questions on, Autumn got knocked out again? Oh, that's right, she's driving around. Geez, Autumn, hang out, man. What do you keep leaving for? Are there any questions about that material, or is that just like really easy and straightforward? Any questions? Throw a chat in if you got any questions. Wow, Bella's having breakfast. Thanks a lot for sharing, Bella. At least she's keeping her mouth closed. That's good. Could be worse. It could be Tommy. God only knows what we'd see then, right? Yeah, you don't have to do all of them, Gavin. That's the whole point. You decide what makes sense to you for what you need to practice. I'm not going to, uh-oh, how do we lose? How do we have, what is up with this? Jasper, did you drop out or something? Did you lose connection, Jasper? All right, so what else we got here? Okay, so does that make sense? We're just gonna do what we need to do, all right? Whatever that is. Does that make sense? Give me a thumbs up on the bottom here under reactions. Give me a thumbs up. If that's like, yep, that makes sense. All right, now so these don't have answer keys with them. Mr. Okuma did these up, and he's not as focused on giving the answer keys. I always like giving the answer keys because my thought is, if you don't want to learn, you can either just not do the work, or you could do photo math, and what's the point of that? So I don't mind giving answer keys because, well, it's going to help you in the long run. Now, the homework that we're going to be working on for like the rest of the week until Monday is going to be this kind of work, which we did a ton of this, right? So you can, of course, use the answer keys to check your work. That's why it's there. That's the whole point of it. So I'm going to want you to, again, look at this and say, how much of this do I need to do? So I would suggest you start with like the left-hand column. Just do the left-hand side on each of the 3 pages on this one. You're doing half of them. If you're like, oh man, I'm killing these, well then you're done. This is not about you just working forever for no purpose, okay? Same thing on this one. This one's gonna be finding those exterior angles. So I would say, go ahead and cover up the right-hand side. Just do the left-hand side, okay? Does that make sense? Give me a thumbs up if that makes sense, please. All right. So do you have any questions on how to do this stuff? I know it's review. Do you want me to go over some of those basic rules again about supplementary and all that kind of stuff? Just to kind of refresh your brain on it? Okay, let's do that. Ah, she sent my pen around the table. All right, now remember, when we're working with angles, and I'm going to post this video, so if you'd rather just watch right now and then take notes later, it's whatever you want to do, okay? So remember, we have complementary, which add up to 90, and we have supplementary, which add up to 180, all right? Now, so when I see an angle that looks like this, and this is 60, then I know that this one is going to be 180 minus 60, right? Because those two are supplementary because they share a straight line, right? So that's one of those basic ones, right? Oh, here comes Caleb. Good morning, Caleb. We just got started. Now, remember also that the interior angles of a triangle equal 180. Well, stop looking at the screen and look at your handwriting. Hello. So that means if I have a triangle that looks like this, and this is 40 and 40, then this one has to be 100 because they all have to add up to 180, okay? So we've done that before. It's not a big deal. It's stuff that we're certainly familiar with, okay? Questions yet, or is this all just good review? If you got a question, pop it to the chat, and I'll see if it. Oh, it doesn't. I wish it would ding or something when it does chat. I'll have to check the settings. So that's basic stuff, right? So then when we do one of these problems, let's do one of these here. Let's look at number 5. I don't know that I can zoom with this bad boy. No, I need the software to zoom with this. Can you see it okay, though? So this is 137. This is 102. And here's the one we want to find, all right? So now remember, these problems are about detective work, right? So when I look at 137, I see that it's on a straight line, which reminds me of my supplementary angles. So I know that this angle plus 137 is going to give me 180. So I'm going to subtract 137 from 180, and I get 43. Now this is 43. Now remember, there's a shortcut here. Does anyone remember the shortcut? Remember that this angle has the same relationship to this angle as these two angles have, right? These two added together are 180, and all three of these added together make 180. So we know by just looking at this, this is going to be 145. Okay? Now, if you're like, I'm not so sure about that, great. You can add these two up and subtract them from 180. And I get, what did I do? Whoops, forgot to carry. Yep. So I get 35. Well, if I take 180 and I subtract 35, which would be from here to here, I'd get my 145 again. So remember, that was our rule about external angles, right? That external angle is going to have the same measurement as the two opposite angles to it. So these two angles here added up together make this external angle, right? Remember that? Give me a thumbs up if you remember that from before, or if now you remember it. All right, getting good response. Thank you. All right, so let's take a look at, these aren't really tough, but they're all kind of the same kind of thing, right? So some of them look more terrifying, but remember, it's just a number of steps. Like look at number 13 here. See how it's got that little square there? What does that little square mean? Somebody want to throw it to the chat and let me show me that you know what you're talking about? What is that? What's that little square mean there? 90 degrees. Excellent. Right angle, 90 degrees. Excellent. So remember that that's going to help us find those other angles. So when we solve something like this, this says 85 degrees here, 155. I'm doing this because on my screen it looks like it's a little broken up. Is it a little broken up on your screen too? Okay. So I'm writing those numbers in to make sure we know together what we're looking at, okay? And this has that little square there. So the way I'm going to have to solve this problem, because I'm looking for this, is I'm going to have to first find out what this angle is, right? I'm going to subtract 115 from 180, and that'll give me, what, 65, right? Then I can't do my exterior angle. Well, yeah, I can't really do my exterior angle here, can I? Because these are all still interior angles. So I'm going to have to add 65 and 85. I'm going to have to find out what this is. 65 and 85 added together are going to give me what, 150, I think? Yep, 150, so that makes this 30. If this is 30 and this is 90, they add up to 120. The remaining angle over here has to be 60, correct? Does that make sense? Give me a thumbs up if that makes sense. Thank you. Oh, Jasper did a fancy thumbs up this time instead of a visual one. I'm so impressed. Ella, did you see that serial killer wall behind her? You might want to consider one of those for your bedroom. I think that's all of her victims back on the wall back there. Kind of gutsy, but I still kind of like it. So now that I know this is 60, I can figure out what this one is in a minute, but I need to find out what this one is now, right? So again, I'm going to subtract 180 from here, and I'll get this is 25. If that's 25 and this is 60, then this one has to be 95 because 60 and 25 make 85. So if I take that away from 180, I'll have my 95. Well, now I've got a 95 along this line. Those two angles have to add up to 180. It's not dangerous, Gavin. It's just evidence that you probably don't want to leave if you hear the cops coming. There's a difference. All right. Well, let's see, who was that? I don't need to know about Papa Murphy's Pizza, but thank you so much for letting me know. Any of you guys getting like bugged the heck out of go order pizza or order food out? Swear to God, my phone is like just jumping like crazy lately. All right, so once I do that, I'll take 180 minus 95, and I'll get 85. So my answer here is 85 degrees. Now, of course, if you look back at the handy dandy answers, come on. Hello. You'll see that it says that our answer is 85, okay? So by all means, please use the answer keys to help you. All right. Now, this one here is basically the same stuff, except it's really just covering all of the external angle stuff, right? And it's got algebra in it. Yay! I know Jill's really happy about having algebra to do along with geometry because she loves algebra so much, right, Jill? Yes, I love algebra so much. I wish my mom would leave me alone and not make me do these. All right, so remember, when you're looking at one of these, let's see if I could just get this farther down. Woo! Dang. Oh, now you can see it pretty well, right? As long as it stops moving. So remember, what we're looking at is these two angles add up to this angle, right? So if I want to know what one of these is, I could take this and subtract this one from it, correct? Does that make sense? Because if this is A and this is B, then A plus B equals 140, right? Or we'll say this is C. Sorry. So if I have A plus 45 equals 140, I can obviously find out what that missing angle is without too much difficulty. Yeah, make sense? Let's see what else we got here. Of course, we've got ones that are a little more ugly. I mean, that's pretty ugly, right? Look at number 14 there. Jasper's like, do you hate us, Mr. Easley? Why couldn't you give us easy stuff? And then, of course, Gavin has issues, so he thinks it's funny. All right. Gavin has issues, but it's not like we didn't know this, right? So if I look at a problem like this, okay, I've got these two angles are going to have the same measurement as this exterior angle, right? Because they still share this angle. Even though this looks different from the ones that we've done, we're used to having an angle that comes out this direction, right? But the rule still holds. This angle right here that I've marked X, over here it's 180 minus these two equals X, and over here it's 180 minus 20X plus 5 equals X, right? So they still share the same relationship with this angle. So when I combine these two, they should equal this. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to say 9x minus 2 plus 40 equals 20x plus 5. And then you're just solving an equation, right? Do you want me to work that one the rest of the way? Anyone? Bueller? Let me work that one for you just because, okay? All right, so 9x minus 2 plus 40 equals 2x plus 20x, excuse me, 20x plus 5, right? So remember, when I'm working a problem like this, the first thing I want to do is I want to combine like terms. So I've got a -2 and a 40. So when I combine those two, I get a positive 38. Now, again, when we're doing these multi-step equations, we want to be able to keep a positive variable if we can, just because life is easier when you have a positive variable. So since this number is bigger than this one, I'm going to subtract the 9x, and now I get these cancel, and I get 38 equals 11x plus 5. Now, I have a basic two-step equation now. So I need to get rid of that 5 first because I want to get rid of the number. Now I have 33 equals 11x. I'm going to divide by 11, on both sides. And when I do that, I'll get 3 equals x, right? Because these cross-cancel, and I end up with 3. Any questions on that? Feel like you can do these now without a problem? I mean, you probably could have done without a problem before, but you know, I'm always trying to find a way to make this work for you guys. So let me come back to here. So there I am. Oh, how exciting. You get to see my face again. I'm so sorry. Okay. So no questions at this point? Seem pretty obvious? Like I said, I'm not going to hold these meetings for really long because you're going to be working on your own. I'm available pretty much all day long. So if you have a question, you can email me. If your parents have given you my phone number, you're welcome to text me. Okay? Make sense? Oh gosh, it's just like regular class. Bella's dancing. I should put her on the screen and on the video, huh? Just to freak her out. All right, I'm going to close down the lesson, and then I'm going to open you guys up to talk if you want to say something.